Hey everybody, it's Monica from tlcmonica.com. That's Monica with a K. On today's video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of working with VIPKid. And pretty much, I think most of them will fall under any ESL online program. So here we go. Okay, we're going to start with the pros because that's my favorite. I have about 10. All right, so here we go. Number 1. The students are fun. I can probably count, I've taught over 70 classes, 80 classes, something like that by now. And I can count on one hand, not even a full hand, of the students that weren't engaged or didn't want to do anything or were just, being kids. Okay? All the others have been absolutely awesome. So I swear I think I have more fun than they do sometimes. But it's a lot of fun. I'll give you a couple of examples real quick. I have one student that, how we tell them when you do a good job, you get, whatever your reward is. I have one that brought out her photo album, her family photo album, and said, "Hey teacher, when you do a good job, you get to see a picture." I'm like, what? Smart girl. She incorporated, so she really understands what's going on. And when I did a good job, she got out her photo album, flipped through, and I get to see a picture of her beautiful grandmother. And then I get to see a picture of her when she was younger. It was just so much fun. It really made me feel special that she wanted to share that with me. Very awesome. I have another student, because I use this board to make sure they know how to play tic-tac-toe before I just start playing it. So we, and I always, usually, not always, but usually let them win. Or I set it up that we get a tie. But I had one that purposely changed his mind where he was going to put his O and moved it so that my next move I would win. And he was so excited. He was like, "Teacher, you won." I was like, "Oh my God, that's sweet." And then I have, come on. They draw me hearts. Really? That is just the sweetest thing. Now, I don't draw it first because I never know if that's kind of like a weird thing, especially age-wise. So if they draw it, then I draw my little one back. But that's my favorite pro right there. Pro number 2 are the hours. They are flexible. I work when I want to work, but that also means I get what I'm willing to put out. So you have to be flexible and you have to be understanding that if you're going to only open a few blocks, that's what you're going to be working with. Okay. So for me, and I had to write it down because it's a lot to remember sometimes. For me, because I'm on the West Coast in Nevada, so I'm Pacific time. So China is they're 15 hours ahead of me. So their peak time, because it varies, Monday through Thursday is 2 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. On Fridays, it's the same in the morning, but then also you get the peak time of 5 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And then on Saturdays, the peak time is 12 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. and also 5 p.m. to 11:30. And then on Sundays, it's just the morning hours of the 12 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. So I know what blocks I'm willing to work, and it's up to me. There's no, you work as much as you want and as little as you want. It's that easy, okay? So that's a really big plus for me, not to have a timeline, not to have restrictions with that kind of like, oh, you better do 2 classes every day. You know, you don't have that with VIPKid. So that's really great. Number 3 is the pay. They start you out between $7 to $9 base pay, and that's mainly depending on your background and experience. And then they have incentives that you can meet to bump that up. It just depends on what they're offering. It changes every once in a while, so I'm just going to leave it at, there's a base pay and you can have the opportunity to earn more. So that's pretty great for, no commute. I wear my pajama bottoms. I don't have to leave the house. My schedule. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Number 4, you just get to teach. I do not have a background in education. I was not a teacher before. My degrees are in psychology, not education. So I've always heard of the horror stories of teachers spending hours of doing lesson plans and grading papers. And, so if you're not a brick and mortar teacher, you don't really know what to expect when you do start teaching ESL online. And so I was very relieved to see that all the planning, all the work is done for you. You don't have to do hours of work before you teach. I look through the slides, I get my props ready, and that's it. It maybe takes 5 to 10 minutes. That's nothing, right? So that's a huge pro for somebody, especially for somebody that has no teaching background. 5 on the pros list is the professional development that we get for free and online. And again, pretty much on our schedule. Like they will list, a class with a couple of different times of the day that you can choose to take. So yeah, it's not exactly on your schedule, but you still get to choose from different options. That's pretty awesome. They have tons of workshops that you can take. They have one to learn about their culture. They have classes to learn about how to do proper corrections, how to engage students better, how to write good feedback, what parents are expecting. So it's like an endless amount of workshops that you can take. There's a lot of help out there, and that is very important. Number 6 on the pros list is you get to work from home. I know I've already mentioned it, but it's worth mentioning again in its own separate one. You get to work from home. There's no commute. There's no fighting with traffic. It's just fighting with which pajama bottoms you're going to put on, right? There's nothing better than that, right? You get to work from home on your own schedule. That's huge. Which leads into what am I on? 7. I had to look at my list so I don't forget anything. Number 7 is that they are remote. You can take it and teach anywhere that has Wi-Fi. They just have to have Wi-Fi. So if you're going on vacation and you don't want to take that whole time off of teaching, you can bring a little setup with you. Throw something in, for a background. Bring one of those small ring lights, your laptop. Make sure you have Wi-Fi wherever you are. And you're good. You can work. If you have to travel and you have extra time and you don't want to lose those slots, you don't have to. Just make the adjustment if you're changing time zones and you're golden. My next pro, I think I'm on number 8, is that you get 6 cancellations within each contract, which means if you accidentally overbooked yourself or you're running late or you're water heater bursts or something, you can cancel with no penalty. After the 6, obviously there's extra things that you have to do, and maybe you take a hit in your pay, but you get 6. I've been teaching now. I made it through all the holidays. Um, I started in October and it's now February and I haven't had to use one, knock on wood. Because, it's the key is for non-emergency stuff. The key is to make sure you're not double booking yourself and don't open slots that you don't really want to teach. That you might like you're pushing it if for me, I'm pushing it if I set that I'm going to, teach a class at 2 a.m. That's a bad idea for me. 3:30 is pushing it for me. So I know better. I know I am not going to open my slot at 2 a.m. because I'm not going to hear my alarm. There's no way. Or I'm going to think I hit snooze and hit off. So, no, just know your limitations. That's all you need to do. So you get 6. Now, if you have a medical emergency, if something is going on and you're in the hospital or your loved one's in the hospital, you do have to provide documentation, but there is a way around not getting hit with that cancellation. So just be mindful of that. And number 9 for the pros list is that they are expanding. I know a lot of people freak out when they hear there's 100,000 teachers. How could they use any more? Why would they need any more? They're starting to expand, which is huge. I think they're in Korea right now. So the opportunity is still there. And my last, number 10, is the hiring process is super simple. If you need help or need tips, I am happy to mentor you. Just comment below, send me an email, reach out to me any way that you can. I provide everything, all of my stuff down below in the description box. Please reach out to me. I can help you get through. I passed, I did my mock class twice. So I did fail the first time, or not fail, but please take another one, whatever. And I passed my second time. So I have experience with, how to make it better. And, I would be happy to help you practice. I can do like little back and forths with you to make sure that you're ready, and give you more tips on your profile picture and your intro video, which I am going to post that up as well on my channel. You'll see all of that, and I'm also going to do a video about the hiring process step by step. So if you need anything at all, reach out to me. Now, here we go to the cons list. I could only come up with 8, but if I think of anything else while I'm talking, I'll throw that in too. But number 1 is no health insurance. You are an independent contractor. You are not going to get health insurance through VIPKid. I am lucky enough and blessed enough that I do work outside and have my own insurance with my employer. So I don't need to worry about that. But if that is something that is a deal breaker for you, just a heads up that they don't provide health insurance. Number 2 on the cons list. This goes in line with what I just said before, that you are an independent contractor, so you get to pay your own taxes. Yay! Who loves that? So after you, I think it's either, and I'm not a tax person, so don't take my word, but it's either $400 or $600 that's when you get, if you make more than that, that's when you get your 1099 from VIPKid. So just be prepared. A good tip is just put aside a certain amount every paycheck that you get to go towards your taxes. And I would not do taxes on your own, even if you're used to it. I don't know, that just makes me nervous. So I would, take it to somebody, a professional, to have your taxes done. Number 3, that small handful of the students that are sometimes hard to teach. That's reality. They're kids. You know, I had one student that cried the first 5 slides. Cried. Yeah, and mom was sitting there with her, trying to console her and trying to get her to snap out of it. Um, but she just wouldn't for 5 slides. That was a very long time. But she finally, I don't know what happened. She literally stood up and said, "Sorry, teacher," and walked off. And so I was like, what do I do? So I watched the time, and it was about 30 seconds that went by, and she came back and she was like, okay. And then the rest of the class was awesome. But guess what? She was 4 years old. They're kids, they're gonna have their moments. So you just take the good with the bad and just be very understanding and be very cognizant of how old they are, that it's totally normal. Con number 4 isn't really a con per se. It's just a lesson in patience. It's going to take time to build your schedule with bookings. I would honestly give it 1 to 2 months before you can start expecting to see like a good chunk of bookings repeatedly. I wrote down the classes that I had when I started. My first month, I only had 20 classes, but that was my first month, and I was super nervous about opening a whole lot. Like, I didn't do back-to-back classes for the first 2 months because I was so nervous that I wasn't going to be able to handle it. Of course, then I did it, and it was no big deal. But that's a big part of it. And plus the holidays, you know, I started back in October, November, so I didn't work on the holidays, you know, for the most part. I was very limited, and we had a lot of family in town, so I didn't work a whole lot. I didn't open a lot. So, but still, I had 20 bookings the first month. The second month, I had 35, and that was around Christmas time. So I did work. I had 3 classes on Christmas Day that I chose to work because it was way before, you know, everybody got up. So I was totally comfortable with that. Again, the great part, it's my choice. The next month, I only had 20 classes. This was Chinese New Year. So, you know, their big holiday. So I was happy that I got 20. And again, my daughter plays sports. So we had soccer tournaments and stuff going on the weekends. So there were 2 weekends that I had to just completely close out of doing any classes. So that plays a part too. Real world
Here is that I had full control over how many bookings were coming in.
here. And then so far this month in February, I am sitting at 30 classes, and that is assuming I don't open up any more slots. We do still have, let's see, just over a week left in the month. I'm thinking about opening some short notice classes, but I'm not sure yet. It just depends on my schedule. So again, that's my call. I like that. But that is considered a con if you're expecting, you know, to be booked solid from the get-go. Just be realistic and be very patient, and use that time when you're waiting for the bookings to come in. Use that time and take those workshops and get more educated. Con number 5 is IT issues. It happens, right? We live in a digital world, and sometimes the internet is just going to mess with you. Especially if you live in a climate where the weather gets wonky, or you know, I live in Las Vegas, and our only real weather issue is high winds that we get occasionally. So sometimes that'll make me nervous if I can tell that it's super windy outside. I'm like, oh, please don't mess up. Please don't mess up. So I always make sure I have a hotspot on my phone to help. I haven't, knock on wood, I have not had to use it yet. But I do have one because I'm worried about, you know, the internet going out or just running weird. And I see a lot of teachers have issues with, their laptop wasn't fully charged, or their iPad, because you can teach from your iPad. The iPad wasn't charging. You had last minute update on the computer, and now it's, going to take an extra minute. So try to make sure that, you set your backup to manual so that it doesn't just do it when you're on. Because that would really suck. If you're in the middle of a class and then you're like, oh, time to update the system. Oh God, that would really suck, right? So make sure you switch that over to manual. I'm very blessed that I have 2 laptops and an iPad, so I have a backup. So if you can have some kind of a backup, whether it's an old PC or, an iPad from your kid, try to have a backup. I also have a backup mouse with batteries at my desk, and I also have, where is it? I have my headset that I use every class. I have 2 of them. I obviously didn't buy it at the same time. I taught for a couple months before I went ahead and spent more money on equipment stuff. But I do have a backup just in case. Con number 6. A lot of people stress out over the 5 apples and if they get a 4 apple rating. And you know what? You have to remember the big picture. Because if you've had 289 5-star or 5 apple ratings and you get 1 4 apple rating with no explanation, especially if there's no explanation, it could have just been a communication issue. Don't sweat it. Con number 7, the bathroom classes. I'm lucky, knock on every piece of wood I can find, that I have not had one of these yet, but I hear about them a lot, where all of a sudden the computer or the laptop or the iPad is, taking a trip, and then you look around and you see a shower and, oh, it's a bathroom. I can't even imagine. Just go with it. And make sure you put it in your notes to the learning partner. And con number 8, the last one I could think of, is your sleep schedule. These hours, especially if you're on the West Coast, they are 15 hours ahead of us. So sometimes I have a class at 3:30 in the morning. I have a family. I can't really go to bed at 7 o'clock at night to get up at 3. So sometimes I'm a little tired the next day, and that's still my choice though, to open those slots, but I know better than to go any earlier. So I get as much sleep as I can and I make up for it later. But that would be the only last con that I can think of so far. I hope that you got something out of all this. I was as real as I can be. I have only been with the company for a few short months, but I'm very vocal and I'm very honest with what I'm seeing and hearing and experiencing. So I wanted to get this out to you to kind of hopefully ease your mind and to show you that obviously there's a lot more pros to cons with working with this company or any other ESL online company, because the pros and cons can kind of go with any company. Okay, if you would like any individual mentoring or if I can help in any other way, you have all my information down below. So reach out to me and I will catch you later.